it's all about. Oh, beautiful. 10.5 degrees outside in January. Would have been Baltic freezing in July, but because it's January, it's gorgeous. So I thought, it's dry, there ain't a cloud in the sky. Come on mate, you've just pulled out onto a main road and you're doing fucking 30 miles an hour. Dickhead. God, I'm amazed to say they're still about. This bloke's just pulled out in front of me. I'm on a 50 mile an hour road, 30 mile an hour, taking his time. I'm trying not to swear this year. I'm trying to be nice. Wanker! There you go. I could just blame it on Tourette's, something like that. Would you like to get out of the fucking way then? Honestly, I'm retired, I've got all the time in the world. Well, I'm not, so move! It don't feel very Monday-ish. And by that I mean, usually Mondays are a bit, gotta go back to work. But I worked yesterday, 6 till 2. I've been on afternoons the week before, saying how you go, good lie-in in the morning, there's no rush. And then like an idiot I said I'd do a Sunday morning. So it took some effort to get up Sunday morning. But the roads were really quiet. I mean, really quiet. So it was nice. Had quite a nice day. Back home, leftover cottage pie for me dinner. That was nice. I made that Saturday. So this is certainly this year first time the roof's been down and the car's moved, because I do operate the roof regularly because it just keeps all the hydraulics in good order. Woo, hydraulics. Also, it gives you a chance to clean all the seals and treat them with, I think it's called this stuff's called gummy fleege or something, and it's the Mercedes recommended lubricant for the all the rubber seals around the roof and the car. It also stops the doors sticking in the winter and stuff like that. But it's I've tried silicone spray, stuff like that, and it doesn't last 5 minutes. But this gummy fleege is like a gel, and you put it on with a sponge applicator, which is actually on the bottle. You might get hit by some low sun in a moment, and then you leave it to dry. It sort of draws the silicone into the rubber, whereas a silicone spray, you're literally just spraying it on. I suppose something like GT85 could work quite well. I don't know how that acts with rubber, but on plastic, GT85 is brilliant. It'll one of the top car detailers in the world, Richard Tipper, uses countless cans of the stuff in engine bays. I've just watched him, quite an old video, do a Lamborghini Countach. And you can imagine what that's like under the engine bay, and he just literally drowned it in GT85. Cover up all the belts and all that lot and just give it a drowning, and then you leave it on there to stay glossy, or you just buff it in. But his results speak for themselves. But this gummy fleece, it's quite good. It's quite expensive because it's a very small bottle. It's about the size of a little Shaw roll-on deodorant bottle, but it lasts ages. It lasts. I've had mine probably, I don't know, as long as we've had the car. I bet it's 4 years I've had this bottle, and it's not empty yet. Like I say, usually I treat the car every, say, probably every 6 months, twice a year. and I do it, and you know it's time for it to be done, or you know when there's the weather's changed and it's cold, because the roof will rattle, well, it'll squeak a little bit. If you get a rattle in an SLK, there's a little rubber buffer missing off the back of the shelf, and it's just that they fall off on the 170s. They have tiny little rubber buffers on the back of the very back of the roof, and they're hidden from view. But sometimes you'll find a little block of rubber in the boot and you think, where's this from? And it's one of those. Like, there's loads of guides online about where they go, and that's, if you get a tiny little rattle in the back, that's what that is. It's a little buffer. But people sometimes make their own out of like door seal or something like that, and just glue it on. But it's a fairly quiet car with the roof down and the windows up. You do get, even with a screen at the back, you do get more wind buffeting than I ever did in my little MGF or my MX-5. Actually, the MX-5 was the worst of the lot for wind buffeting, but the MGF's been the best. That, you literally got no buffeting at all in that. You know, you're alright. I once actually went, if anybody knows Glasgow, I once went through the middle of Glasgow, the ring road, which goes through the middle. It's ridiculous. In the pissing rain, because we got caught out with the weather, and once you're on the motorway, you couldn't stop to put the roof up, and it was absolutely chucking it down. And as long as you were doing above about 40, you never got wet. You didn't get a single drop into the cabin. And I can remember that. I can remember all these, like, these tipper lorry drivers just looking down at you going, eh? And we didn't actually stop until we were on, I think we were on the M6, so we went all the way down the 74 with the roof down in the rain, not getting wet. But this doesn't do that. You do, if it starts raining, you need to put the roof up in this, because it doesn't have the same, obviously the same aerodynamics. Here we are, just waiting on the A5 now. Well, not on the A5, that would be a bit dodgy, wouldn't it? Somebody behind me in an MGF, funnily enough, a little blue one. And he hasn't got his roof down, because he's obviously puff. Great little cars though. Beautiful little engine in those MGFs. I had the 1800 VVC K series, and usually I kept it below sort of 4,000. I bimbled in it, which is what I do. But if you took it above 4,000, it was another engine entirely. It was like driving a two-stroke car. It was hilarious, much like Honda VTEC. But that engine was brilliant. I used to get, it shows how light-footed I am, I used to get a genuine 50 to the gallon out of that little MGF, because I was usually just commuting or something in it. You know, it had I took that up to Scotland, I think, once, and I took what I think is a really lovely photo in Glen Nevis of it, which if I find I'll put on the screen. But it's we bought Slinky basically to take him up to Scotland, just because I had an Audi A6, and it was sort of well north of 250,000 miles. It was a 1.9 diesel, the devil's fuel, and things just started to go wrong with it. And to be honest, a lot went wrong with that, considering it was an Audi. The gearbox shit itself, and I was quoted £7,000 by Audi to replace the gearbox, and it turned out I found a gearbox specialist in Bristol, near Bristol. They used to be called Bristol gearbox specialists, but they changed their name. And I rang him up and he says, yeah, can you bring it down Monday? I said, yeah, not a problem. And he took literally a 5-minute drive in the car, and he went, right, I know what's wrong, have you got 2 hours? Yes, I have. and it was the computer inside the gearbox. There was a little ECU inside the gearbox, and he took that out, and from factory they're insulated inside. They've got like resin, all covered in resin inside, for I suppose it's anti-vibration, but it doesn't actually work that well, because he found, I think, 3 or 4 of the solder joints had actually split. And what the car was doing, you'd be driving along and all of a sudden it just put itself into neutral. And that could happen on, you know, the motorway, which it did. It could happen when you were just pulling away for an island, got the gap on the island and you were just pulling away. It did that a few times. It was 50-50 whether you ever got reverse in it, and if you did get reverse, you better pray you weren't parked on a slope, because it would not do it. So anyway, this guy did it, and to his word, it took him 2 hours, and he showed me all the joints he'd resoldered, the lot, and he guaranteed for life of that car the joints that he resoldered. He says, I can't guarantee the rest, is that, you know, they may go, but he says, I will guarantee these for life of the car. And he gave me a certificate with it, a certificate with it as well. And yeah, from that day on, it was like a totally different car to drive. You were never scared to go anywhere in it, which is how it should be. I mean, it was a bloody great Audi A6. You shouldn't have been, you know, you could have gone miles and back in it. But that was the only like super major trouble we had, and then it shit an alternator and just little bits started to go wrong, which, you know, let's be fair with the mileage. I never moan about wearable items, wear and tear items or anything like that, because that's a given, and that will happen to anything, you know, drive shafts, brakes, all that lot, they're all wearable. But yeah, once he did this gearbox repair, that's it. Totally different car. It was absolutely fantastic. And we I went up to Scotland a few times in that, 2 or 3 times I think. And then we did it with Slinky. We bought Slinky, and I love it. Absolutely love taking him up to Scotland and having the roof down while we're up there, and you've got mountains all around you. If you have never been to the west coast of Scotland, or you've never been sort of anywhere north of Edinburgh or Glasgow, well, especially the west coast side, the east coast's a bit rural and flat compared. West coast side's a lot like a miniature Norway. It's absolutely fantastic. It's breathtaking, utterly breathtaking. People go on about Wales being beautiful. I've obviously never been to Scotland, because Wales is not a patch on the west coast of Scotland, just not a patch. So we do that, and he's absolutely brilliant on a long run. Absolutely fantastic. We can get 400 odd miles out of a tank, and bear in mind, a few hundred of those miles, at least 300 of those miles, because it's nearly 500 miles to where we go, you're on the motorway or A roads. We actually go up the A1 now. We go up the A1, get off at Scotch Corner, and we go up the A68, which is, if you've never driven the A68 or ridden it, I highly recommend it on a motorcycle. Just make sure the weather conditions are good, because there's like 60-mile-an-hour humpbacks on it. There's corners like spastic snakes. It is an amazing road, and it keeps you alert because you have to drive it. You can't just switch off. There's some nice places to pull in for lunch and stuff up there as well, if you can be asked to find them. Apparently the last cafe in England is on it, but every time we've gone past it's been closed. It's just one of them. Must obviously sort of close at lunchtime on a Saturday, and we've always missed it. But yeah, so we've got the 68, and that takes you just before Edinburgh, gets you onto the Edinburgh bypass, and you forget how long the Edinburgh bypass is. So we go there, and we go to Stirling, Callander, and we go up from there, Doon, Callander, Tyndrum, and then at Tyndrum you've got the choice. You can like take the road sort of like direct for Oban. There's no such word as a direct road in Scotland. or you can go through Glencoe, and usually we always go through Glencoe. And if you've never driven through Glencoe, never mind the Locative Skyfall Road or anything like that, because to be honest it's nothing special, and it's a pain in the arse a lot of the time because it's single track for most of it, and there's not much down there, to be honest. But Glencoe, yeah, never gets boring, never. I mean, we're lucky because we've been through it like a few seasons now. Actually, the worst season we drove through Glencoe in is summer. It's like July, because that's literally monsoon season in Scotland. If we go up in October or we go up in the spring, we have pretty damn good weather. We've been really lucky. And if it is rainy, who cares? You've still got the scenery. In fact, we've been up there, last time we went up there it was snowing and it was fantastic. But even in October it's very, very nice. It's absolutely beautiful, especially when you see all the colour changing. So yes, so that's why we bought Slinks basically, but it was bought as a project and we've done bits to him now and again. Mechanically it's always been cock on. We had old Stevie baby give her a bloody good service and a gearbox service when we had him, and there was a few things to rectify from the dealer, and the dealer agreed to pay half the bill, which is fair enough. I mean, to be fair, some things probably wouldn't have never have gone wrong, but they did. And there's a couple of sensors under the center console that deal with the stability system, like it's like a yaw sensor and all that lot, and one of those went wrong. And the symptom of it going wrong is you'll be driving along and all of a sudden it will lock the front right wheel at like 50 miles an hour, and it will actually pull you across a lane of traffic. It's brilliant, it's hilarious. Fortunately, when it happened to us, we were down a country road, so there was nothing coming, you could react. But once it did it a couple of times, I thought, right, there's obviously something wrong, and there's obviously something wrong with the A5 as well, because by God, if anybody knows the A5, I've just gone through the long shoot at Nuneaton where Crossroads External was filmed. Down, 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 down. And it is queuing. It's full of trucks. It's completely clear in front of me, like going towards Addiston. Still queuing. You can probably see him behind me as he whizzed past my glorious face. But yeah, fucking hell. Occasionally the A5 queues, I've not seen it this bad. There must be a motorway shut somewhere, probably the M42 or the M1 shagged and everybody's coming down the A5, because this is honkingly busy. It's ridiculous. But funny enough, until you got to the long shoot, it didn't look that busy. It's from the long shoot up. And of course, if there's a diversion in place, if you're driving a truck, it can be a difficult thing, because if, say, an accident's just happened and the authorities haven't had the time to put a diversion in, or sometimes they just don't bother putting a diversion in, they just think, fuck it, work it out yourself. If you're in an Arctic trying to figure out how you can get somewhere, it can be quite nerve-wracking. And we've got some blue lightage. That's right, Mr. Cyclist, you just crossed the road straight in front of ambulance, you fuck nugget. See, that's the way to get through traffic. The good thing about it, see the queuing on the islands, this is the island just near work now, so in a few seconds I'm going to sign off, because obviously we can't film in work. But yeah, they're still queuing. Unbelievable. Down now, now, down now, now, now. Oh, I've got an earworm now, I didn't want that. Yes. So yeah, something must have closed, the M1 must have closed, something like that, because we've now got motorway volumes of traffic on a normal A road, and it just doesn't work. it's going to be murder for the. We have like cars out on the road, test cars out on the road as well, doing like mileage accumulation and stuff like that. Proper real world drivey stuff. If it stays like this, they're going to have a hell of a day. But today I should be on track, so I can have Radio 2 traffic on, and I can go around, and when the traffic bird's going, it's fact, I should be going around in circles going whereas before, when you were driving out on the roads in the trucks and stuff like that, you glued your ear to the traffic, and then you had to work out if she just mentioned a road you're actually going to use or not. Right, anyway guys, I'm signing off now because I'm nearly there. Ta-da!